Relations between local governments and First Nations are becoming increasingly important across rural British Columbia. A growing awareness of shared interests in areas as diverse as economic development and environmental protection are bringing communities together across the province. In this BC Rural Centre video, we showcase the growing relationship between Splatsin First Nation and the town of Lumby. Lumby is a small community of about 1,800 people located near the western edge of the Monashee Mountains. The town's economy revolves largely around logging, manufacturing, and agriculture. The Splatsin are the southernmost tribe of the Shuswap Nation, the largest interior Salish-speaking First Nation in Canada, whose Aboriginal territory stretches from the BC-Alberta border near the Yellowhead Pass to the plateau west of the Fraser River, southeast to the Arrow Lakes, and to the upper reaches of the Columbia River.
Lumby has been, it's always been sort of a logging town. It's since the early times, and we're in the north end of the Okanagan. The growing season out here is a little bit shorter than the rest of the Okanagan, but the forestry sector in this area has been quite wealthy over the years. But as mills changed and production of lumber has changed, they've sort of moved out of Lumby and centralized into other places. We went from having 5 producers of wood products to having none, and it had a huge effect on our tax base. Although there's not mills right in the community, the town still is very much dependent on the forest industry, right? So having a sustainable forest was a big importance to Lumby. So when we first got into the business of the community forest, the province had offered a license out, and with a different partnership actually, and it really didn't come to fruition. There was some conflict. They actually weren't really interested. And then when we had some conversations with the Splatsin and they were interested, we developed a corporation, and they just happened to have the know-how already sort of in place. And so when we met with them and talked to their contractor, it just really fit well to just sort of slip that right in.
It was their proposal, right? Because the province had given it to the towns, municipalities, community forest license, but they had to partner them. One of the stipulations, they had to have a partnership, right? And that's how we got involved. So it wasn't us. They started it first, and then we jumped in with our Title and Rights Office and our ECDIF, and that we started talking about how we could propose something with the Minister of Forestry and that. And community forest was one of the things that maybe we could do a joint venture.
The reason that Lumby was attracted to the community forest in the first place is a lot of different reasons. We need to preserve what we have. We need to make sure that it's managed properly. The watersheds and the caribou trails through the back of Silver Star, which is seeing some heavy development between here and our neighbors, in Enderby and Splatsin. And
we thought it was a good idea. It was for 2 reasons. Was to help support Lumby, and that's what got me involved, was to support them, because we knew in their heart that that's what they wanted, was to look after the watershed, right? So, and it's a vast territory, and we need a lot of help of people to look after. Not everybody can look after one thing, so we figured Lumby could look after that end of the town and that river, right? So that was one. And economic reason, it wasn't a big money maker. It wasn't something that we wanted to make money, but it was something where it was a win-win for both communities.
Part of it's economic, part of it's protecting the harvest, right? So that there's something there for the future, so that we have we're recycling our resources, the watershed protection, and the scenescape as well. And the revenue we generate is actually a healthy revenue. It's a good partnership. We're making money and we're reinvesting it into the community.
There was a couple issues that came up before it was even a community forest or even thought of it. It was concerns about the river down there flowing through Lumby, and the concerns that township at the time raised that they wanted more control of what it's going to look like for the future of that town, and controlling the flow of it and what's going to happen above it and below it. How we mold our future is how we control the environment. So I told them that maybe we should look at cut blocks that are adjacent to it, because at the time, negotiations that they were offering, Minister of Forest was offering, weren't something that would really control Lumby's destiny concerning that river. So we asked for some other cut blocks that weren't in the area of offer. And I'm glad the Mayor of Lumby and that were open to suggestions that maybe we should move to other areas. And it became a negotiations. It didn't happen right away. It wasn't a straight thing. It took a lot of the governments, of all governments, to sit together and come up with a plan how it would satisfy Splatsin's interests and Lumby's interests. And it was actually good negotiations, because it brought a lot of people to a table, and it talked about real concerns, right? And it was the first time I really actually went down to Lumby and really went to their forums. They had community forums on that, and it was discussed there, right? And they're no different than our citizens. They have the same concerns, and they have the same questions, and good questions about what their backyard's going to look like. You know, it was really nice.
Our First Nations partners are a very different type of governance than we are, and they don't have the ability to tax the way that we do, and they don't have the ability to say, you know, we're going to pave this road this year, we're going to pave this road next year, we're going to build a school, or whatever it is. I guess, you know, municipalities, we don't really build schools, but there's a lot of things that we can do as local government. And so I'm really happy to be part of something as a community where we're working with our First Nations partners to be able to provide some liquidity for them, some ability for our First Nations partners to provide more things to create a healthy community for themselves. That's one of the really big bonuses that come out of this community forest, and one of the really big wins that comes out of what the province has set up for us. Because really, the province gave us the tenure, they set us up with this program, they just set us free to run with it, and it's given us the opportunity to really make a big change for not only our community but for our First Nations partners. So it's been a wonderful thing to be part of. As a council to council, at our council, at the community forest, we've been, in the last probably year, there's been a lot of conversation generated around, okay, what's next? What can we do as a community together to enhance recreation or social health or mental health or education? So we've been talking about projects. We actually just recently set aside some money, a little parcel of money inside the community forest, so that one that doesn't go back to their council, one that doesn't go back to ours, but is actually controlled by the committee at the community forest, to be able to do projects that are completely funded and separate by the community forest. And those things are working towards recreational opportunities and whatnot. Other stuff that's developed is lots of this area flooded last year, and Lumby's been dealing with flood issues for several years. And we have a salmon-bearing creek that goes through the village of Lumby that needs attention. And we really think that the Splatsins are probably the best partners for that project as well. So we're looking into how we can partner together to look at restoring the creek and the fisheries and the habitat in partnership with the province as well, and the DFO, of course.
Lumby Council approved by their motion to have Splatsin look after everything. And that showed a great trust in a relationship. And that was right off the get-go. It wasn't like, oh no, we'll share somebody in that office keeping up, like work with you. No, it was like, no, you guys look after it. So we already established ourselves as a good company. And Lumby saw that. Lumby saw that we're working all over in the territory. We have woodlots all over. They just wanted us to continue.
Well, the partnership with the Splatsin community, as far as partners in the community forest, has been exceptional. I don't think I've ever worked in government or business with any body that's been quite so trusting and forthcoming. They're just really open, honest, easy to work with, open to ideas. So we're able to talk about different plans and ideas that we have. But also, they're in the same boat as we are. They need capital to do projects. They need money to help their people live a healthy and happy lives and have, recreation and education. But they also understand that, just sort of pillaging the forest is short-term thinking. So they're very much into restoration and protection, as well as being able to manage the forest at the same time. So it seems like our council, at least of this day, and their council of this day, our dreams and sort of vision are really enmeshed.
I got to learn over these years, I got to learn Lumby and their council and how they do business. And it's been lucrative. We've never lost money. It's been a win-win. Fiber still keeps coming. It keeps our company rolling. They entrusted, it built trust between us with our company that they gave all the work to our company to do.
It's like we were always part of the same team. It's never been a divided team. It's never been us and them. It's just sort of been us.
The experience of Splatsin First Nation and the town of Lumby shows that, with a little goodwill and the desire to explore common interests, First Nations and local governments can work together to the mutual benefit of their respective communities. For more on this general topic, visit our website. Under Resources, click on First Nations Local Government Partnerships. Thanks so much for watching.